Hello, this is Maureen Legas with today's Technology Tidbit in the 21 Days 2014 series. So today we're going to talk about Twitter. So what is this Twitter and why do we use it? Why is it important for a real estate agent to be on Twitter? Okay, so I did a search, a Google search, and I said, what is Twitter? And I come to a Twitter getting started page. And it says, Twitter, what is it? This page helps you understand that. So what is Twitter? Well, it's an information network made up of 140 character messages called tweets. It's an easy way to discover the latest news related to subjects you care about. So let's think about it. 140 characters. It's just a small message. This is not a Facebook writing a little book on what you've done for the day. This is a 140 character message. So how is it useful? Well, it contains information that you might find valuable. The messages are kind of like a little newspaper headline delivered right to your Twitter kind of timeline, Twitter inbox, but it's your line. You could see messages from people that you find important to follow. All right, so let's go look at Twitter. Now, Twitter is free. You're not paying for Twitter. When you come to twitter.com, there'll be a sign in or a sign up box. So if you have not yet signed up for Twitter, you would fill in the sign up for Twitter box, click sign up. It'll take you through a setup process. All right, so let's look at my Twitter account and what that kind of looks like. All right, when I'm at my Twitter account, so my Twitter is Maureen Legas, so I go to twitter.com/Maureen Legas, and that's my account. And it says a little bit about me, where I'm from. You can edit your profile using this button here. You can create tweets. Tweets are your little 140 character messages. You can see what's going on, see what other people are tweeting. Down here, there are trends, so you could see what people are looking at and the information that's being shared that's most active. And then you can click up here and go home. Now, some of the tweets I did, like September 18th, I said, and I was at Mega Camp when I tweeted this. So we use this little tag. We use the dollar sign, the pound sign, as a tag, and that way people can search by the tag. And at Mega Camp, they told us to use this tag, Keller Williams Mega Camp 2014. And then I always use Keller Williams Realty International. So when you're going to tag a post, the reason you do that is when someone is going to search for everything coming out of Keller Williams Mega Camp, they would search by the pound sign KWMC 2014. They would do the search and they'd find anything that was tagged with that, so posts that are coming out from people at Mega Camp. This is another thing I posted at Mega Camp that was said. This person said this, Will Anderson from Salem Town Board Company was speaking, and again I put the Keller Williams Mega Camp tag, and he said, when they fail and you extend grace, that is a kind of relational equity you can't buy. And that really touched me, so I put it on Twitter. All right. So let's go to the home page. And when I go to the home page, this is kind of like your home page on Facebook. When you go to your profile page on Facebook, that's where it says about you. Your home page gives information about what others that you're following say. So I am following 140 people, and there's 177 people following me. So when any one of these 140 people post anything, it will show up in my line here so I can see it. So it's not just like a ton of information coming in. It's the information coming in from the people that you think you want to follow. Interesting information from people that you find interesting. Then the people that are following you, when you tweet, they will get that information sent to their line. All right, does that make sense? All right, and so far I've posted 114 tweets. Now, I've not been as active as I need to be on Twitter, and we're going to talk about why I use it. but that's part of my business plan for 2015. So next year, we might take a look at this for the 21 days, and I'll look again, and we're going to see a large amount of tweets here because I'm going to get busy with this. Now, the background picture is just my pool area at home. You can have it anything that you like, and then that's it. Then you start going. So up here we have home, we have notifications. Those are information messages that came in to you. Messages are direct messages. And so what that means is that they sent them directly to you, and it doesn't show up on any timeline, because it's private. So that would be a private message, would be a direct message. This timeline, if you tweet, it shows up on timelines. A direct message is kind of like a private message on Facebook. Okay, so I've clicked notifications, and here are some kind of notifications. So Chase says, at Maureen. Now they put an @ sign in front of Maureen Legis. Maureen Legis is my username on Twitter. We saw that in the beginning up here. It said Twitter, Maureen Legis. So Chase is sending it to me, at Maureen Legis, getting my attention. And when you put an @ in front of someone's Twitter name, then it sends them some kind of message. It could be in my phone. I have actually set this up to get messages in my phone. And Chase wants to know that they hope they've been able to answer all your questions. So this is one of the ways that I use Twitter. If I have an issue with negotiating on a short sale and I can't get anywhere with the bank, I will come in and I'll find the bank. In this case, it was Chase. And I find that there's a user here called Chase Support. And so I went to @Chase Support. And I said, look, I need help. I can't get this thing closed. It's supposed to close next week. And then the Chase Support team will be in touch with me. The banks on Twitter have their own social media escalation departments. That's different from the phone numbers that you call for the bank. Social media has their own escalation for any issues. So you can contact the banks through Twitter. So that's what I often do. I've contacted Bright House through Twitter when I've had cable problems at home and I've not been able to get the support person on the phone. So I've contacted here and been able to get that resolved. So these are the kind of notifications you get. And then the messages are direct messages sent directly to you. So Chase was sending me directly to me. That wasn't anybody else's business. So it was coming into my back office here. And then Bright House wanted to check back. I had some issues with Bright House. Now you might get messages from people that you know that are very strange. It just is one line and there's not a message actually attached to it. That would be spam. And so you don't want to click on it. You want to leave that alone and not open it. But you might want to notify your friend that their Twitter account is sending out spam because their password might have been compromised. So it's like this, tyranny. Hey, I've lost 4 pounds this week and my nutritionist says blah, blah, blah. Somebody has stolen Tyranny's password and is signed in sending out spam under her name. Same thing with some of these other posts. This would be spam because Tanya did not send that out. So then I would contact them and tell them change their Twitter password. So don't click on these links that show up that does not sound like what your friend would post. But this is where you find your direct messages. If you want to send a new direct message, you click here and then you put the person's name that you want to send to. Okay. All right, so let's look at some messages and the kind of messages that you would want to send out. So let's look what people are sending. So my Florida Regional MLS sent a message to everyone that's following my Florida Regional MLS, which I am. It said the Florida Regional MLS Daily is out, and then it gives a link to information and stories via @the-Ledger. So the Ledger is the one who might have posted this, and they put @the-Ledger so you could find them because @ goes in front of the person you want to find, right? Let's see some that have some tags. So Inman News posted, is Zillow truly a merger, a death blow, or dying gasp? And then it gives a little link here to it, and then a # Inman Select. And so they must have this word Inman Select that they're using that we could go and search. So if I come up here and I search for Inman Select, I will see many posts that have that tag Inman Select, Inman Select, and then Holly retweeted something and posts with the Inman Select. And then people are using that tag, not just Inman. People are using that tag in their posts so that they all show up in this line of what they call tweets in this discussion, right? So one other thing that we notice is when Inman posts a tweet, they have this little URL, bit.ly, this little URL. Now, why would they do that? Why wouldn't they post just the real URL to whatever that document is? What is bit.ly? Some people might use, let me see if I can find another one real quick here. I see Inman uses bit.ly. Some people might use the Google shortener. Now, we talked about the fact that you can only have 140 characters. So if you're posting something that has a URL, a link to a page, like look at this page here, this URL is very long up here. If you're posting, you're going to take up a lot of the characters just with the URL. So you would use a URL shortener, and bit.ly, bit.ly is one of them. Google has one, goo.gl, and then you would go and shorten that URL and put the shortened one there so that you're not using up all that space. So let's say you have an announcement for a new property. Then you would come and say, beautiful home on the bay in Sarasota, and then you would shorten the URL and put the link there and make that announcement. So that's why we use the shortened URL. The other thing that you wanted to think about, if you're posting things that are newsworthy and people might want to repost them, on Facebook it would be like a share. On here it would be a retweet. So someone develops a tweet and posts a tweet, and someone comes in and retweets. That means shares it. So what you want to think about is when someone does a retweet, let me show you how that looks. Someone retweets or shares, it will put RT in the beginning. And they might want to give credit. They'll put an @Inman News. They're going to give some credit, or the system might assign credit. If this original tweet was a full 140 characters, they couldn't retweet, because then adding these additional characters would push it past the 140 line. So when you are creating tweets, keep in mind that you should try to keep them maybe at 130 and below, 130 characters, so that when someone retweets them, that they would be able to get that additional information in there and successfully retweet the entire post and not just part of it. Okay, so why don't we try to create a tweet here, and I'll show you how to do that. So just to recap though, what we learned was signing in and creating an account. You want to set up your profile over here where your picture or lack of picture is, it'll profile. But when you sign up for an account, it'll take you through some of the profile steps. But you want to make sure your profile is set up. And then what you want to do is look to follow people. And so you might search for Keller Williams, and you might search for people like Keller Williams to follow. Maybe you're a tech person at Keller Williams, so you might want to follow people like Ben Kinney at Keller Williams. He's tech. You might want to follow people that you know at Keller Williams. And so start following, and then people will start to follow you. You might want to follow the National Association of Realtors. You can follow the realtor board in your local area. So you set that up. And then once you have some people following you, then you can tweet, because then that information will be out there and available for the people that are following you and for anyone else that is searching. And then if you use a tag, a # tag in it to create a word, you might want to search the tag that you're thinking about using to make sure that it is appropriate. Maybe the tag is used for different types of threads than you want to associate your post with. So now we have that kind of information. We're going to come over here and we're going to click to tweet. And now we can compose our tweet. It's going to count down how many characters that you've used and what you have left. And remember, try to stay below 130 in case it gets retweeted. So what kind of information would we post? Well, if you have a new listing, you can come and post something special about that listing. Beautiful investor opportunity in Longboat Key, and then the link to that property. You might have a class that you've just taken and it was wonderful. You might want to post a little bit about that. You might have just received a certification for luxury homes and you might want to post about that. So something that might be newsworthy to people that are following you. So let's look for some kind of information to post on my eEdge website. So over on eEdge, I'm going to come and click on Market Insider. I have a pro account, so I'm going to go to Market Insider and I'm going to look for some information about the area. So let's say I'm going to look down on Longboat Key and I'm going to see what's going on in Longboat Key. And I can see that the median sold price seems to be increasing. And so let's see if we have information about that. So if we look at this page, we can see inventory trends. The number of active listings in Longboat increased by 12.3%. So that sounds like a headline. We come down here, the median listing price on Longboat is $717. That sounds like a headline. Okay, so why don't we take the number of active listings in Longboat Key increased by 12.3%. So let's use that as our tweet. All right, so we'll go over to Twitter and we'll type active listings on Longboat Key increases 12.3%. And now we're going to put the URL that takes them to our page on eEdge that talks about this. So I'm going to come up here to the top and right here is the URL. I'm going to click and I'm going to copy that. Now that is way too long to use. I don't want to use up my characters. So I'm going to go over to my goo.gl Google shortener and I'm going to click this and paste that URL in there. I'm going to click to shorten the URL and here's the shortened version. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to my post. I have 89 characters. I can post a little more if I want, or I could just post that URL in there. And now I have 66 characters left if I want to add more. I can also add a photo if I want, and then add a location. So let's click to the location, and I'm adding Florida as the location. And now I'm going to click to tweet. Now before I do that, I want to know, should I put something in there that is some kind of a tag, the # tag, so that people can search for this, or when they search that tag, they can find this. So what kind of tag would we use in a post to make it easy for people to search? So if I'm going to continue to post about Longboat Key, I might use a tag associated with Longboat Key. If I'm going to post various real estate pieces of information in Florida, I might just use something about either my company name or my personal name. So let's go look at Twitter and do some searches for some tags. So I'm going to open another Twitter account, and up here in the search bar, I'm going to search for, let's say I want to use Longboat Key as my tag. So I'm going to say Longboat Key. I'm going to search for who has # Longboat Key. I'm going to see that there's a lot of people that have Longboat Key in their names. They don't necessarily have the # Longboat Key, but they have Longboat Key in their names, and some of them might be realtors, so I might choose not to use that. So how about Longboat News? So does someone have Longboat News? And I'm going to see here that there isn't a lot with Longboat News. So if I'm going to concentrate on Longboat information, I might pick that. But if the Longbush is one of the areas I service, I'm not going to focus there, then I might pick my name, Legis News. So that way, anything that I post can be found under Legis News. So that doesn't seem to have any, when I search for that, there's no connection to Legis News. All right, so let's go back, and I'm going to pick pound Legis News, and I'm going to post that here so people can search by Legis News as they begin to follow me and see what else I've talked about. Active listings on Longboat Key. And we still have 53 characters left, so I can go back to that page and I can see, okay, the active listings increased by 12.3%. Median number of days active properties have been listed is 137, so I could go back and add that. I have a few more characters. Active listings on Longboat Key increases by 12.3%, and days on market 137. And now I still have 20 some characters left if someone wants to retweet. And then I just click the word tweet. And then when I click home, I go back home, I'll see that my message here has been tweeted. And so it appears there and is available. All right, so that's kind of all there is to it. For more information, we've gotten long on this video because it takes a lot to get to understand what Twitter is and to get using it. But the key is to just set up the account, set up your profile, start to follow people, and then they will follow you, and then start to try to create tweets of interest, newsworthy information. And then you'll become kind of someone that people look to follow for information on Twitter. All right, hope that helps.